It's easy to automate electrical safety testing using test automation systems from Fluke Biomedical. All one needs to do is launch a test procedure that's been previously created by double-clicking and then clicking the Start button after following the instructions for connecting up the medical device. The auto sequence automatically communicates to the test instrument and configures it for the test, and then reports the test results and measurements as it goes through each step in the auto sequence. We're offered the opportunity to zero the resistance of our test lead before we perform the ground resistance test. It reports the results of that test and allows us to continue on with the rest of the tests in the auto sequence. It reports to us the chassis leakage and runs through power off tests followed by power on tests, and stops for the power change in order to protect sensitive components in the medical device. Once we continue on, it performs the power on electrical safety tests, including any patient-applied part tests that need to be performed. In this case, because we're connected to a defibrillator, we will test the pads, the pacemaker leads, and all 10 ECG leads. In this testing, the applied part tests are each lead to each other lead, each group of leads by itself, all leads to ground, among other standard electrical safety tests that need to be performed on these critical patient-connected parts of the medical device. As you can see, all of our measured values are reported step by step within the auto sequence, and we get an assessment of pass or fail along the way versus the testing limits that have previously been determined that come directly from the standards. Should any of these tests fail against the testing limits, it would turn the script, the font, to red, and so that we could identify that there was a failure. In this case, none of the tests will fail, and we'll get an overall status of pass for this auto sequence. While this testing appears to take a little bit longer, a test for something without patient-applied parts would certainly be shorter and take less time. But it's because the standards only require certain tests in each of the different situations. The advantage of using automated testing is that the person performing the testing, whether more or less skilled, will follow the same exact test procedure exactly the same way, all tests being performed in a uniform and standardized fashion. It shortens learning curves on the test instrumentation, since all they need to remember is how to launch the automated test template. As we complete the testing in the auto sequence, the overall test status will be reported to us in the lower right-hand corner of the test procedure, the test guide that we're viewing on screen. And you can see in this case we have an overall status of passed. By clicking next, we get to the test summary screen, which shows us in an easy-to-view way all of the tests that were done, the test results versus their testing limits, whether there were any failures, and whether we need to worry about going back to try and correct any particular failure, because the overall objective of this testing is to get as many medical devices through with a status of pass as possible, thereby limiting the number of medical devices waiting in the repair queue for us to troubleshoot and take corrective action. We can create a test result report, and in doing so, we can show the overall test status and each of the tests that were done in the same way that we saw them in the test result file, this time in either a PDF or a hard copy printout that can be either emailed or left behind with the client department or the client facility. The PDF shows us the test record and overall test status, in this case everything passed, shows us all the steps in the procedure that were done, the results of the tests and their testing limits. It will show us any failures in the column to the far right. In this case, no failures were observed. Should a failure have been there, it would have shown it in a X in that column. As you can see, automating electrical safety testing with test automation systems from Fluke Biomedical is easy. Launching the automated procedure previously created, letting it run through the automated sequence, saving files, and observing results, dropping off reports. Easy as 1, 2, 3.